What is going on, everybody? Steve here from Alpha Nerd Entertainment, here with a new video. Today, 1994's The Great 1,000 Mile Rally 50-cent run, no death run if you will, of a arcade hidden gem by Kanoko. Don't know much from this company outside of this game, but before I dive into this no death run, I did want to provide some context and talk about this game a little bit. Now, this game has 12 vintage European cars to choose from. Car companies like Alfa Romeo, Ferrari, Bugatti, Mercedes, Jaguar, and Porsche. Today I'm using one of the Porsches to get through the 12 courses. You can select the courses in any order, and initially I wanted to do them in order from 1 to 12. Now, the game is actually a very, very good game, but there was something I didn't realize that made this no death run way harder than I would have expected. Now, I knew it was going to be challenging, but what I would come to find made it so much harder than I would have guessed. Now, I accidentally realized when running this game that the game will tell you your best times, your personal best for each section. Now, as I ran the first 5 courses, I was steadily getting PBs. But come the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th race, I noticed my times were significantly slower. Now, what happened was the car was declining in power and performance, as if it's been running throughout all these races. Now, if you use a continue or a credit or lose a life, your car will be replenished and it'll be running at full gear and full speed and, just running on all cylinders, just revving high, running fast. So that's when I realized, well, some of these harder courses are going to require strategy. So I ended up starting with track number 8 and working myself through the harder courses to do some of the easier courses later on, because I knew the performance of the car then was starting to decline. It took me a while to figure this out. Anyways, guys, the concept in this game is to get through each course in under 60 seconds. If it takes you 60 seconds or longer, it is a fail and you need to restart. This game is absolutely amazing and I highly recommend it. With that being said, let's dive into the no death run. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another NDR. Today's Great 1,000 Mile Rally. I'm using the Porsche 550A, starting with course 8. I had to use some strategy, as I talked about at the start of the video. Man, this game is ever so awesome. Let me tell you, it is honestly, and I mean it, exhilarating. Each turn is so satisfying. Now, it's to the credit of the game's controls. They are absolutely superb. When I think of isometric games, often their controls are kind of poor. Whether they're shooters or racers, the controls are somewhat hard to gauge the actual depth perception. It's hard to be accurate, as I use a little shortcut there. This game lacks music when it comes to the in-game play, but to me it makes it that much more of a racing game. You're really just alone with the sound of your car and the racing. So 54 seconds there, not too shabby at all as a top 6 time. I like that it keeps a record of that. So here we are, stage 9. Now, important, stage 5 and stage 9 have a very tough opening corner, as if you make contact with either of those cars, you're going to have a bad spin out and a bad crash, and it's going to cost you a lot of time. So I'm aware of that, so I'm very cautious with that opening turn. Outside of that, well, you just kind of have to be sharp and you have to be good. But the game doesn't make it easy, but man, the controls are good. Let's just do the GamePro magazine review, and I'm going to start with the controls. The controls are honestly the best controls I've ever felt in an isometric game. Hands down, the best controls I've ever felt in an isometric racing game, and they're without question a 5 out of 5. That's the German national anthem there. Something that should be noted about this game. It's very patriotic to the countries of the people that made the cars. So if you select a Ferrari, you're going to have Italian flags waving and the Italian anthem. Likewise, if you select the Jaguar, you're going to hear the British theme, Bugatti for France, and I think that's probably it for the nation's cars. And there are 12 cars to select from, which makes a nice variety. I love the vintage cars. This game has a very, it's a charming yet classy game. This definitely has that European feel in all the right ways. And one thing I love about Europeans is their love for racing. Now, not to say Americans don't have a love for racing, but when it comes to gamers, I feel like Europeans like racing games a whole lot more than North Americans. And maybe that's that European blood in me, but I'm a sucker for a good racing game. And this one is good. How's its fun factor? It's superb. It's another 5 out of 5. This game is one of the funnest games I've ever played. It immediately makes my top 100 games of all time. It's without a doubt the best isometric racing game I've ever played. It's superb. 5 out of 5. However, its graphics, well, it's a 1994 arcade release, so obviously there was way better looking games released in 1994 in the arcade. But as far as an isometric racing game goes, I have a shot every time I say isometric, it looks really good. They're not outstanding, but they are nice. 4 out of 5. And while its audio is probably the lacking department, I really do love the coffee shop style music that you hear in between levels when you beat the game and at the title screen, but that's the only song you'll hear in the game. I love that they went with just the sound of the car, as each car does have a distinct sound, and I really like that they did that touch as I complete a tough course there. Not easy as we move on to track 12 here as I'm calculating which track I'm going to do next. Tracks 9, 10, 11, 12 are definitely some of the tougher ones. 5 as well. 7 and 8 are medium difficulty. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 are very easy. A lot of twists and turns in this one here. The sound, I'm going to give a 4 out of 5. You know, with this lack of music, it can't get a better score than that. But again, I think it's a great touch that they went with just car audio in this. You really do feel alone with the racing, and that's a good thing. I think music would have been a bit of a takeaway in the experience of this game, as it's a pure racing game, and it's just, yeah, I can't say enough good things about this game. Honestly, you got to give it a go. You got to try it. You're going to fall in love with it. I guarantee it, because its controls make the game fun. So when I give the fun factor a 5, that fun factor has a lot of credit to do to its controls making it that fun. As now we make a strategic choice with track 7. And there's a reason I wanted to talk at the start of this video, because I knew how quickly this was going to go by. And man, it's hard. It's hard to do on one credit, because like I mentioned, your car starts to lose its performance the longer you drive. You use a continue, you're going to get that performance right back, but you're going to lose all that time because you can't start over. If you fail, you got to run the course, which is a minimal, under 1 minute. But of course, if you fail, that means you've lost about a minute to a minute 5. But yeah, just listen to that. Just sounds great. Some great power sliding or drifting in this game. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Where are we going now? Okay. Looks like I selected stage 6 there. Oh no, stage 5, dangerous turn. Yeah, dangerous turn right there. You don't want to make contact with that car going too fast. So now in the thumbnail I put a no crash. Now, do I trade paint with other cars? Absolutely. Do I scrape some guardrails? 100%. But do I ever crash and do I ever wipe out? Not once. And that wasn't the goal, because stage 6, stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3 specifically are pretty forgiving stages. You can have a pretty big wipeout, a pretty big crash in those stages I just mentioned and complete the course in the 60 seconds. The other ones, definitely not. You wipe out in stage 9, 5, 11, or 10, you're gonna fail miserably. And especially if you're doing it, let's see now, look at barely making it there in stage 5 is due to my car's performance lacking right now. As you just saw there, my record was 54. So if I run stage 5 first, I'm going to be screaming across the line in 54, 55 with ease. But there's a reason I almost did it in 60 seconds there. It's because my car is starting to bog out, if you will. It's starting to lose it's losing some horsepower. It's losing some performance. Its tires are fading. And I think it's amazing that the game incorporated that. It doesn't tell you that, but trust me, you play it enough and you'll be quickly aware of the fact that that is what's happening. And that's what made this so much harder than I was expecting it to be. I figured an hour and a half I would get this done. I'm embarrassed to say this took me about 4 hours. But man, it's because of that factor that I did not know was going to be a factor. And it definitely made it tough. Like that there, 58 seconds, the record's 54. And now it only sounds like 4 seconds, but that is a huge stretch of road when you're playing. And man, and if you happen to make an error, like I did that in 58 seconds. If I had one small error with my car performing the way it is right now, that's a fail. That's 100% a fail. So we're just ripping around here. Oh, the turns are so satisfying. I'm telling you, this game is honestly exhilarating. It's really, really fantastic. And it immediately climbs into my top 5, I think, top 5 guaranteed top 10 retro racing games. It's excellent. Now there's a game called Overtop. I believe it's by Neo Geo SNK. It's really good. This blows it out of the water. Look at this. Boom, 57. Now that's slow. That's slow, and that's not my fault. Again, if I run that course first, I'm going to have a very fast time. What we got here? 3 to go. Stage 2. Stage 2 is very forgiving. And you can tell that based on the current record being 51 seconds. You know, the closer the record is to 60 seconds, obviously the harder it is. You know, obviously this probably has a lot of straightaways as well, or it's just overall shorter. But yeah, stage 2 is definitely forgiving. So we're saving it for last. Stage 1's obviously the easiest. I think that goes without saying. So we saved stage 1 for last. I do like the blurring effects when driving. You'll notice there's some blur going on, if you will. The lines created there to just create like movement and speed. It's a nice touch. Boom. Sailing those Porsche flags, the Porsche flags and the German flag. Very patriotic to all the cars. I tell you, the sound of the Ferrari though, I believe it is, it's like a 330 Testarossa or something. It's an old one. I don't know my old cars that well, but there are some really nice vintage cars. There's also a really nice blue open-wheeled Bugatti. Has a really nice high rev sound. The Porsche, by the way, is the smallest vehicle in the game, and it's pretty nimble. There's a reason I like it. It has some good acceleration, and it handles in corners incredibly well. Definitely my favorite car, and there's a reason I'm using it. I'm most consistent with this car. It doesn't have the highest top end, but definitely, in my opinion, a great choice. Here we go, coming across the finish line. This is the final race. No, it's not. We got one more. Yeah, because I jump for joy. I do jump for joy. This was a long, grueling 4 hours. And I didn't expect it to take that long. But man, it became really frustrating. It became really frustrating. Oh man, yeah, it was frustrating. Because I didn't expect it to be as hard as it was. Now maybe I suck. Maybe you tackle this and you get it done in 2 hours, 1 hour, 30 minutes. I don't know, but man, this ended up being so much. Maybe I was using the wrong car too. I started to doubt myself in that quest as well. I'm like, is this the correct car to be using? I felt like Porsche is the most reliable of the companies, because Alfa Romero is not going to be reliable. But here we are. Man, let's go! Let's fucking go! My God, that was so much harder than I thought it was going to be. I'm sure I talked about it in the commentary that I provide after the fact, but holy shit, there had to be strategy involved. The car loses power throughout the run if you don't screw up. You screw up and restart, the car will be fresh. You go the whole time, your car loses that power like a real car would. Holy shit. Post commentary, Steve, take it away. I'm exhausted. Well, I pretty much said everything I have to say at the start of the video, somewhat during the video. The game is fantastic. Really, the controls are superb. The fun factor is through the roof. The game is definitely challenging if you're looking to do the quote-unquote no death. But all I can say is I highly, highly recommend this game. And it is just, honestly, just a hidden arcade gem. And with that being said, guys, thank you very much for watching my No Death of the Great 1,000 Mile Rally. It does have a sequel. It does have an American version where they have fire coming from the back of the cars. You can pop wheelies. You can go on 2 wheels. They make it a little more over the top for the American version. This version is much better in my opinion. But the sequel is also very interesting. Zoomed in, handles well, but not as good as this one. Give it a try. Let me know your thoughts. And thank you for watching.